2 years after migrants overwhelmed Denver shelters, the final family leaves the final shelter.
It does feel like an end of the chapter, and I think it is the end of the chapter.
A Democrat from Colorado who just lost her seat again sides with Republicans in a culture war over washing machines. A 911 call helps explain the narrative about migrant gangs in Aurora.
The apartment property has been taken over.
I ask a Democrat from Colorado who led a Trump impeachment if Trump's going to put him in prison.
Well, I hope not, Kyle. I sure hope not.
That's tonight on Next. The last migrant family has left Denver's last migrant shelter, a milestone that would have been unimaginable 2 years ago when Denver shelters were filling with thousands of families. Our Angeline McCall has followed their journeys every step of the way.
With the end of a chapter comes the quiet that would have been hard to imagine a year ago.
Walking in today was like a little bit of sadness because we miss the people and the family, but really happy because it means that families have found their place.
Yoli Casas with Vive Wellness has spent the last 2 years placing people in shelter and housing.
It was overwhelming. I usually don't get overwhelmed very well.
At one time, 200 found a temporary place to stay in this building, Mullen Home in North Denver.
In December 15th, 2023, we counted 9 shelters and 5,000 people.
This month marks 2 years since the city opened its first rec centers to newcomers.
It's hard to think about. It's been 2 years since this.
The city has been closing shelters for the past 6 months, and this week, the final one, Mullen Home.
The right timing of that decision for many reasons.
Fewer people are arriving today. Yoli says the funds just aren't there to continue.
I wish we could. I wish Denver could, but there's just not funding. There was a point where I said, even when I mentioned to you that we cannot repeat 2024.
A change in sheltering also marks a shift in Yoli's work.
And I am going to take a break. It has been 2 years since I don't think I have rested more than 3 days. So I am going to go see my mom. I'm going to Peru. Oh, I can't believe I'm getting teary because, I feel like it's been a nonstop.
With the end of one chapter, she hopes it marks the start of another for the families and kids who were once in Denver's shelters.
It is a positive end. It is a positive end because, you walk around the city. Like the other day, I'm walking around and I see like a group of 3 kids getting out of the high school. And they say, Senora Yoli, and who are they? These kids that were the last 2 years ago in a transitional school, and they're graduating next year. It's a positive thing. So it is beautiful. And to be part of it.
The city estimates that in the past 2 years, 30,000 people at some point accepted shelter here in Denver. Kyle.
So for folks who still arrive today, albeit in very small numbers, they arrive, what are they offered, if anything?
Yeah, so the city did hire an outreach manager, or some outreach workers, I should say. And so they'll help them if they see them out on the streets. They'll direct them towards like a homeless shelter, right? That, for instance, like for the unhoused community. Mm-hmm. But in terms of shelter and housing, that's kind of far gone. They'll help them with other things like trying to enroll their kids with DPS, but resources are pretty limited.
Angeline McCall, thank you very much. Outgoing Democratic Congresswoman Aurora Caraveo has again split from her party to back a Republican priority in Congress. Caraveo lost re-election in her swing district after she acknowledged in our 9 News debate that she does not vote her values all the time, but sometimes votes what she believes to be the values of her district. She says that's why she voted with Republicans to strongly condemn Kamala Harris for border issues just days after Caraveo endorsed Harris for president. Last night, Caraveo was one of just 6 Democrats to vote for the Republican Liberty in Laundry Act. It rolls back energy efficiency rules for washers and dryers. Caraveo's office did not respond to multiple requests to explain her stance on that issue. Her office similarly ignored our request to discuss her vote last month for a Republican bill that will allow the incoming Trump administration to declare any nonprofit a supporter of terrorism and strip its tax status. Caraveo was one of 15 Democrats to join Republicans on that bill. Her team didn't respond to our request for comment today. Back in November, Caraveo lost to Republican Gabe Evans after 1 term in office. For months, we have been investigating how a landlord in deep trouble with the city of Aurora suddenly came to claim that their properties had been taken over by Venezuelan gangsters. And we've been looking at whether the very real presence of some of these gang members in the city was overblown for political gain. We have one more piece of the puzzle tonight, put together by Chris Vanderveen of our 9 News Investigates team. How Aurora 911 got an unusual phone call from the lawyer for a now notorious apartment complex.
911, what is the address of the emergency?
1568 North Nome Street.
The call comes in June 28th.
The apartment property has been taken over by people who say they are a Venezuelan gang.
The caller, a lawyer who represents the owners of the building.
They've taken it over forcibly from the owners.
A story that even the 911 operator finds curious.
Okay, and how did they forcefully take the property from the owner? How is that?
They just walked in, and then a phone call was made to the property manager that they have taken over.
Is there anything actively happening right now?
The only thing I know is that the gang is in control. We're afraid to go down there because it's very dangerous.
Months later, the story went viral when this video went viral. But even the 911 call,
There are weapons. There are assault rifles.
even that call is in need of some context. Context 9 News investigates is found through a variety of open records requests. Context like this. October 2023, 1 year prior, an Aurora police officer warned the owners in this report their apartment has almost become a badge of honor for gangs, and added police will only respond to any calls with a minimum of 3 cars. In the months that followed, the city's police department, the city attorney, and the attorneys for the owner regularly communicated via email about possible solutions to maintenance concerns and continued problems with crime. And then on June 26th of this year, or 2 days before the 911 call, we found this email from an attorney for the owners to the city. Things seem to be going okay. The property does have a manager and continued maintenance. No mention of Venezuelan gangs.
Has anyone been injured at all?
I'm not aware of any. No.
So whatever happened here, at least in the minds of the owners, appears to have happened quickly.
We have directed that all our employees leave for safety purposes.
About an hour or so after this call, another 911 call.
Please select the language you need.
This one from a Spanish speaker who communicated to the operator through a translator.
They are basically going to go ahead and be the owners of the apartments. They're going to start charging the rent, and they're going to be selling drugs here. So,
days later, Aurora police wrote this email to the owners. We are doing what we can to address the spike in violence in the community. By the end of July, there appeared to be an impasse. The city offered one of the landlords 60 days in jail due to continued property maintenance failures. A week later, in August, the property owners hired a PR company to push the Venezuelan gang story nationally. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.
Chris reached out to the lawyers who represent the owners, the management company, CBZ, as well as the owners yesterday. We've not heard back from them. The Coloradan who helped to lead the congressional investigation into the attempted assassination of Donald Trump says the Secret Service needs to make dozens of recommended changes in order to prevent future failures. Our next conversation tonight is with Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Aurora. Do you think the Secret Service has been honest with both Congress and the American public about their failings?
I do believe the Secret Service has been honest. I can't say that for every agency. There were some problems in getting some information from the DOJ and the FBI related to the motives of the gunmen.
Donald Trump and his allies often paint a narrative that there's a secret deep state that wants ill for him. Did you see any evidence that there was anybody in the Secret Service, FBI, or other law enforcement that wanted to allow Donald Trump to be harmed?
No evidence whatsoever, and I'm really glad you asked me that question because there are plenty of conspiracy theories and people going down the rabbit hole here. Listen, this was a bipartisan investigation, and I think this is really important to state. It was an investigation that was convened by the Republicans, although completely supported by every Democrat and every Republican in the House.
Now, Donald Trump has also talked about jailing members of Congress who investigated him for the January 6th insurrection. When our next conversation with Congressman Crow continues, I'll ask him if he thinks that Trump is going to try to put him in prison for his role as an impeachment manager in the House. And I'll also ask whether he would accept a pardon from President Biden if offered. It's time now for one of our favorite holiday traditions around here. For the last 4 years, Next viewers have worked together to buy a holiday gift for every single kid in Denver's public housing communities. 4 years. Let's make it 5. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the nonprofit Friends of DHA and their annual holiday gift drive. Their goal is to get a gift for all 4,000 children living in public housing in Denver, kids who might not otherwise have a whole lot this Christmas time. Your generosity over the years has become a stable source of support for this nonprofit's holiday campaign, year after year. Families in Denver's public housing are dealing with some pretty significant challenges, among them higher cost of food and child care lately. Families obviously can't prioritize a holiday gift over those essentials, so we can help cover the cost of that gift. Scan the QR code on your screen, text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491. We'll send you that link to donate. Your $13 million in microgiving proves how quickly $5 donations add up. I'll never ask you to give if I don't, so I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us rolling. More than 3,700 of you have signed up to simplify your giving by making a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. It means that we have started your recent microgiving campaigns with about $25,000 in donations each week. That makes a huge difference in our community. Use that same QR code or text to get there. Well, so the merger's off between Safeway and King Soopers, so they're back to doing what they do best, fighting each other.
And there were 44 people aboard, 39 passengers, and 5 crew.
All gone. Stunning crime like America had never seen. It happened in the skies over Colorado decades ago. There's a new effort to make sure the victims are remembered. As the offspring sang and 2 federal judges ruled yesterday, when it comes to Safeway and King Soopers, you got to keep them separated. Albertsons, parent company of Safeway, is now giving up on the merger the judges ruled against. Albertsons is now suing Kroger, parent company of King Soopers, saying Kroger didn't do enough to win approval for that merger from regulators. President-elect Donald Trump has talked openly about using the justice system to retaliate against his political enemies. He's even discussed jailing members of Congress who investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol by his supporters. I asked Democratic Congressman Jason Crow of Aurora if his role as a Trump impeachment manager puts him at risk. Do you think he may try to put you in prison?
Well, I hope not, Kyle. I sure hope not. Listen, I'm a member of Congress. I'm a member of the United States Congress, the Article 1 branch of the Constitution. Our founders made us the Article 1 branch because we are the preeminent branch. We are empowered by the people. We are directly elected by the people. We have the authority of the people of this nation. And I will never be afraid. I will never be bullied. People should know that by now.
There's reporting suggesting the Biden administration is at least having some conversations about sweeping pardons for people they believe might be targets of political retribution by Trump and his allies. Would you accept a presidential pardon if it was offered to you to protect you from retaliation?
Oh, I don't think anyone's thinking about pardoning me, and I don't think I'm the target of any of those investigations. So I think the pardon authority has to be narrowly tailored, and I think we have to avoid conflicts of interest in the pardon authority. In fact, I've called for reform of pardon authority to prevent the types of abuses that we saw in the first Trump administration, of which there were many, and we're going to see them in the second Trump administration.
You also took issue with President Joe Biden's pardon of his son, Hunter. He joined a bipartisan list of presidents who have pardoned family members, but in this case, Joe Biden said he was not going to pardon his son, and then he chose to do it. Do you have specific pardon reform that you want to see that would limit presidential powers, or is this just something that's going to be talked about? Is anything going to get moved on this?
I did disagree with that pardon. Listen, I'm a straight shooter, Kyle. I like to call balls and strikes on things, and I think Coloradans should know that when I'm calling somebody out or critiquing, that I'm not playing politics. What's important is that when there's a conflict of interest, that somebody removes themselves from that conflict of interest so that Coloradans and Americans know that when a power is being used, when the power of the government is being used, it's being used in the best interest of the people.
In my full unedited conversation with Congressman Crow, which you can see on the next YouTube channel, he outlines on the issue of immigration which deportations in Aurora he would support and which he says he will, quote unquote, resist.
Hi there, I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Kathy Sabin. On a quiet night, the wind finally easing after a windy, warm day with temperatures in the mid-50s. We've cooled back to 41 now in Denver, and as the gradient begins to ease, the winds will come down, but still a bit gusty over Loveland Pass and Kenosha Pass. As we look at your weather headlines, we do have high clouds coming in ahead of a storm that will bring some light mountain snow at the end of the week. But Denver is embarking upon a warming and drying trend that will see us right into the weekend. This system coming into California, we also hope will bring beneficial moisture to fire zones outside of Los Angeles up in the Malibu area. Light snow expected in the mountains, so no advisories for snow at this point, and maybe an isolated shower for Denver late in the day on Friday. Enjoy the not so cold temperature trend tonight, and the warm weather pattern will last right through the weekend into early next week.
Plans to remember an attack on aviation that shocked Colorado and the country. Next. Next November will mark 70 years since the bombing of United Airlines Flight 629 out of Denver. And by the time that rolls around, a memorial will finally stand near the spot that plane took off.
The tower is the only remaining portion of the old Stapleton Airport. We felt that this was very appropriate because the plane had taken off from here. So on November the 1st, 1955, Dreamliner Denver, which was the name of the aircraft, had taken off and was about 8 miles east of what today would be Longmont when it blew up. The plane exploded in midair. There was a bomb aboard. A guy had placed a bomb in his mother's suitcase. There were 44 people aboard, 39 passengers, and 5 crew. And unfortunately, everyone was killed. We were surprised that there was no memorial to the 44 victims. So we approached the ownership of the tower here, FICO. They were overwhelmingly enthusiastic about doing this, but it will honor all 44 victims. It will also honor the first responders, everybody that came together to try to provide justice for these families. Our volunteers have gone through and found all 44 families, and we intend to invite them out for the 70th anniversary in November to unveil the memorial. As people come here and they're thinking about aviation and they're thinking about the old Stapleton Airport, they see this and they become aware. It is a long time, but it's long overdue, long overdue.
So we told you how there's another group that's working on a separate memorial. That will be at the crash site up in Weld County. They expect that to be completed in 2 years. We return with your feedback. Thank you. Next. That's a nice jacket. So we have a holiday tradition around here where we all chip in to buy a holiday gift for every kid in Denver's public housing communities. And you have covered the cost of this 4 years running. It's a project of the nonprofit Friends of DHA, powered by your generosity year after year. Gifts for 4,000 kids is a heavy lift, but you have come through again, time after time, for families that might not have a lot of extra to do with this holiday season. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491. You can give one time to just this one project, or you can sign up to make a monthly donation to support each Word of Thanks nonprofit that we feature without having to put your info in over and over again. Feedback from Shirley, who writes in to say, your Word of Thanks charity choices, well chosen, well timed. Thanks to all who contribute. Well, thank you for that, Shirley. Again, this was the promise that we made to each other, what was it, summer of 2020? That as long as you're willing to give every week, I will find a nonprofit that is worthy of those donations. Shane says, can we switch back to the guitar intro yet? I miss it. That's a deep cut. I think we changed our music 3 years ago.